Hey, so here's the deal. Sometimes I do these lives on TikTok as well, but I'm not going to do that because I just don't want to deal. So basically, what we're talking about tonight is the ACT, why you should think about it. I don't care if you're a seventh grader, why you should think about it, why it's important to you, and that kind of thing. So let's hit it. Hugs to you all. Now, again, I'm not like streaming on TikTok, so there may or may not be very many people here. But here's the deal: we're going to seriously talk about how important the ACT is, and how you absolutely parents focus on grades, grades, grades. Schools are doing you a serious misfortune by telling you that your grades matter. Grades matter. They matter to an extent, but here's why schools tell you to work on grades. Because within their system, they can make you look good if you get good grades. But then wait, when you go to apply to colleges, I'm telling you, what matters more than anything is your ACT score or your SAT score, depending on where you are in the United States. Work on Insta earlier. Oh, hey, yeah, I know. Hi, Natasha. So, we're going to talk about in general how you can do better on standardized tests. What I think the problem is with, public schools and testing and the messages they're giving you. And I'll be doing these every Sunday at 7:00. And you guys, if you want private sessions with me, you can get them. I mean, that is literally my job. That's what I do. But I'm going to try to give you as much information as I possibly can. So yes, say Ollie never stops chewing. Never stops chewing. Ollie, say hi to everybody. Go. Okay. So the most important thing you need to know about prepping for the ACT is that SAT or ACT, you must get an official book. Everybody tries to sell you on all of their programs. Ooh, look at this program. There are programs in my state that I'm like, dude, this is not okay. The most important thing you can do is invest in, this looks like, this is the 2018, 2019 version, but every year it's red. It's the official ACT book. You must, the ACT is the American, I even forget what it stands for. Anyway, I don't even, it's like it's like something about test, college test. I don't know. I literally have been tutoring this for 25 years and cannot remember what the dang, well, I'm gonna have to look that up now. Yeah, it's an American test. So he's just nuts. But the most important thing you can do when you prepare for any test, I don't care what it is get an actual copy of actual tests that are given. I don't care if you're prepping for the GRE, which is a graduate records exam. I don't care what you're prepping for. You have to get copies of the actual test. Because what most people don't tell you is that the wrong answers and the way they're worded are just as important as the right answers. And the only way you can get the information that you need, the only way you can practice is by having an actual test in your hand. Now, because of copyright reasons, I can't show you these tests and I can't go through them online. That's what I do. Hey, Haley, that's what I do like in private sessions, all right? I go through tests. Then the way I do it when I tutor people is I have them take the tests that are in here and then we go through the answers and I teach people, what the right answers look like and then what the wrong answers look like. So that's the very first thing. Don't buy anything except this. And then it's this massive, nasty book that you go, no, you don't have to read everything in here. What you do need to do is take the practice tests and then get yourself a tutor and go over the right and the wrong answers. Parents invest in everything. They invest in athletics, they buy clothes, but they have this hard time investing in like tutors for like the ACT and stuff because they think, oh, the school should take care of that. Schools are not taking care of it, people. They're not. Schools are failing you. Public schools are failing kids. A lot of private schools do a good job, but public schools are failing kids. Hi, Chilling. Yeah, I was a teacher for about 15 years. So anyway, and I'm here to convince you to get a hold of these books, first of all, okay? Get a hold of official ACT testing, preparation books. Nothing else matters. Get yourself one of these. Now, there is an SAT Black Book and an ACT Black Book. Great, great, great strategies in there if you want to read those. But they actually use real test. It's like a testing tip book. Those are good. There are some like guides, but please don't get sample tests made by anyone except the ACT. It's just not good. High school. And for what I want to do, I need a score of 16 or more. How hard? 16 is easy. No. So Amazon, literally order one of these on Amazon. I've got 3 different, they're basically the same every year. And what's cool is whenever I tutor, I'm like, just open to page 42, take the first test and get, because it seems like the very first test always starts on page 42. And they just get bigger every year, like 800-page books. And it's like, you throw this in front of the kid and they're like, I don't know what to do with this. Just open to page 42 and take a test. Just get started. And like the extra time that you would, like when I talk to kids, I'm like, you'd be better off having a 3.5 average and spending the extra hour that you would a day to get those A's on ACT prep. You don't even have to spend that much time. Spend 10 minutes a day on it. It's just insane what you can do to improve your score. It's not that tough. For Brits, I'd recommend, but the key is here. I don't care what standardized test you're taking, get a hold of an actual test that is given, because you have to practice the actual test. Because when you go into a test, you never read the instructions. They're standardized. They're the same every dang time. So just get to it. You know, I don't want to talk specifically about anybody out there. What I would do is, there are very good programs to teach you skills in areas, right? Which is what that kind of thing does. This is not the same. When you're talking about like gaining content information and skills, that is something that companies can help you with. I'm talking about real testing strategies on how to conquer the ACT if you've got the content, right? If you need help about the content, you know, dealing with like with the difference between a subject and a verb, that's a totally different thing. So it kind of depends on your score, where your score is, what, you know, how much content help you need. Because I tell you, if you're scoring in the teens, you need a lot of help with content. If you're already scoring in the 20s with some, you know, like strategies and stuff, you can easily be scoring in the 30s. So there's just a difference. I tell kids if they naturally score in the teens, then you need some content help as well. You need more than this. You do. Because the way the content help is in here, it's not, you can't understand it. You can message me, you can email me, you can message me on Instagram. But I do group sessions via Zoom. That's what I do. They're pricey, but that's why I'm starting to do this. Because literally my reason to go to TikTok was to be like, okay, I know everybody can't afford private tutoring sessions. So I do this so that I want to do this so that you can at least get a little grip on what you should be doing to prep, you know? So that's kind of it. So if you want to message me on Instagram, you can. And I have people put together, I don't do it myself. I have people put together group sessions, and then I show up, you Venmo me, and that's how it goes. But anyway, so absolutely get the official ACT guide if you're talking about the ACT. Any other standardized test, you get the test. Now, I'm going to tell you why I preach grades are not as important as a standardized test. Are grades important? Yes. But for instance, my daughter goes to a high school that doesn't have weighted grades. So the maximum score she can get in high school is a 4.0. My son went to a high school where they have weighted grades. So you can actually get like a 4 or 5 or whatever, right? So how do colleges appropriately look at grades and be like, okay, this kid has a 4.2, this kid has a 3.5. Well, how do I, you know, and some schools, it's easier to get A's in than other schools. Like some schools grading scales, A's are a 94 and above. Other schools, it's a 90 and above. So how do we compare those things? Well, the ACT or the SAT or standardized tests, which schools are kind of like supposedly going away from, but I can talk about that later. We're still never going to completely go away from them. What standardized tests do is they equalize everybody, because these tests are like designed by psychologists, believe it or not. And they are an indicator of how well you will do your first year in college. That's it. They don't indicate anybody else. They don't indicate, you know, but that helps with retention, right? So colleges want students who will stay around past the first year because that makes their statistics look better, right? So we want kids who will do well the first year. It's not an indicator of overall success. It's not an indicator of how much money you're going to make. It is an indicator, though, of how well you will do that first year of college. So I tell kids, like, why not score better so you go in feeling like, Even if you don't get a scholarship, at least you're going in with a 21, which is, like a state average for Nebraska, or 20, which is a national average, instead of like a 17 or 18 feeling like you're not, good enough to do well in college. I never seem to study properly. Yeah. Small, like, you have to pattern yourself and practice for stuff. So now I'm going to talk about how, like, another way schools are like failing. I mean, public schools, I'm like, I can't even with public schools. Public schools are failing kids in this way too. They're not putting enough emphasis on preparation for the ACT. I think a lot of the reason is because a lot of teachers are afraid of the ACT because I'm not sure they did that well on them to start with. There are some brilliant teachers out now that, don't get me wrong, there are brilliant teachers out there that do an excellent job of integrating like standardized testing into their classrooms. But I feel like sometimes teachers are afraid to tutor for the ACT within their classrooms because they didn't figure it out themselves. Well, heck, I didn't either till I was older. If I'd have had me telling me what to do. So it's just about studying. Yeah. If you're going to a trade school, it's a different story. It's not like, it's not required, that kind of, but they do give you a test beforehand. And even the Army tests you, the ASVAB, things like that, they will test you. But here's the problem. Standardized tests are almost always given within a time constraint, right? So I don't care what you're preparing for, what test you're preparing for. Public schools in the United States are doing kids a huge disservice by giving them all the time in the world to finish these tests that they have to take for state standards. And they test too often. I don't know why we have to have all this testing. Like, no. Good teachers know how well their kids are doing. We spend all this time testing. We give this massive amount of time. Oh, here, you've got 2 hours, do 15 questions. And then you get the ACT and you're like, wait, I have 45 minutes to do 75 questions. What am I supposed to do with myself? Like, it's like, what? And then you freak out. You don't know how to deal. You don't know how to deal with time. And most of you, correct me if I'm wrong, when you have these lengthy times, you're like, oh, I'll just ease through this. This is not a problem. I got all the time in the world. It's not teaching you anything. Right? You really have to, practice with time restraints. So teach, and here, why they do it, so everybody's successful. So because American school systems are set up to make everybody feel good. But wait, are you really doing them a service by making them feel good and confident? You don't know how many parents have come to me and said, my child has a 4.0, but all she has on the ACT is an 18. A 4.0 is supposedly perfect, and a 36 is perfect on the ACT. So that's half the highest score. Tell me what's going on wrong, right? I'm like, because grades don't necessarily correlate with a good score on the ACT. They just don't. Yeah, I'm not pleased with. Again, there are many good teachers out there doing a great job, but the public school system in America is completely broken. So many systems are broken. I'm not a fan. And I may get in trouble for saying this, but I don't really, that's fine. It's broken because of things like this, because we're giving kids all this time to take tests, and then they go to a test for college and they have to do time restraint. So first thing is, get yourself a good book that represents the actual tests that are being given. The official ACT book, order it from Amazon. That's a good thing. I should put a link underneath. Anyway, second thing is, you have to practice time constraints. You have to practice finishing a test within a time, because schools aren't doing kids any good when giving them all this time to get through stuff. It's just true. So, why though is this test, now that I've kind of told you, like, get a book, work on time restraints, practice the test in the book. Here's the thing. If I could convince you to do one thing that could massively change where you're going in life, it's doing well on the ACT. I'm not sure why schools aren't trying to convince you that this is true, but it's absolutely true. Listen to me. Just think about this. I've had kids come to me with a 20 on the ACT. The 20 is the national average, all right? Okay, that'll get you into a lot of schools. But I've helped those kids get 30s or 28s or whatever. And there are certain scholarship levels, okay? The main thing I tell kids is maximize your score potential and then choose a college that's going to pay you to go there within that score. because there's nobody that wants to go to college that can at least score an average score. And a lot of times junior colleges pay kids with average scores to go there because they want their scores to pull up because they're taking a lot of kids with 15s and 16s on the ACT. So that's the thing. So you maximize your score potential. Then if you don't want a bunch of debt, because you don't want debt, trust me, you choose a college within that level. So let's say you start off with an 18 and you practice, you get your score up to a 23. Did you know that a lot of state schools, especially Nebraska, will give you a full ride with a 23? You can absolutely get everything paid for. And if you go to the right school, they've got programs where they will pay your way like to med school and stuff. You are not being told the most important information is that if you maximize your score on this, you will minimize your cost in college. And the worst thing about the American tertiary, college education system is that it costs tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to go. So why not choose a school that's going to pay you to go there? And then you're one of the best kids there. Like I read this story one time about somebody who went to Harvard and she eked into Harvard, right? And she was getting C's and stuff. And she was used to being an A student her whole life. And she was like, I didn't end up a doctor because I didn't feel like I was smart enough to be a doctor because I just eked into Harvard. And then she realized, wait a minute, I was smart enough. It's just I was surrounded by brilliant people. So a lot of times it helps to be the biggest fish in the pond instead of a small fish in a big pond. Ollie. Shh. Second America must be in Ireland. Yeah, it's because our grading scale is so weird. It's based on not even real proficiency stuff. Can you redo it if you're already in college? Austin, interesting. There are some scholarships, if you change colleges, you can petition. There are some schools that accept a redo on an ACT, but almost always once you've started college, that's the score you get. TikTok, it's MONW0102. Good to have you here. I don't know. And that's just kind of the rule. Once you start that level, then you don't retest. But anyway, so you need to maximize your score. We spend hundreds of hours working on athletics when most kids are not going to get athletic scholarships to college or play professional ball, right? We do it for fun. We do it to make them feel better. And we do it so they compete better in high school. But I don't understand why parents aren't investing in tutoring time to help their kids score better on a test, which most teachers don't understand that well. Some do, but most don't. If you look at the average ACT score for teachers and the average ACT score for surgeons, there's a huge difference, right? So the people who actually know how to do well on this test aren't teaching you the test. That's just the irony thing, right? We go into other, it's not that scary. It's not, but you just have to, there are so many strategies to do well on it. Your account got banned? Ooh, that stinks. So anyway, I'm so thankful you guys are in here. Do you have any, and this is kind of I'm a big fan, but I'm doing horrible in school and getting C's. Now I feel horrible. You don't feel horrible about your scores. What I tell my daughter is sometimes our grades are indicative that there's a problem, right? Maybe it's a problem with the teacher. Maybe it's a problem with your study time. Maybe it's a problem that you just can't concentrate because crap's blowing up at home, right? So, and even with kids and that's another thing about testing. You have to test early and often. And it has to do with that because I want you to start testing when you're a 7th grader. And a lot of people out there say, no, don't start testing until you're a junior. It makes kids feel bad. No, you need to know as a 7th grader where you stand on the ACT. Now, they give the ACT to, gifted and talented or whatever they call them now, high ability learner programs. They do that for high ability learner program kids. They take it for the Duke Talent Identification Program because they have camps and stuff for kids to go to if they score well in the ACT. But I say everybody should take it as a 7th grader. You got to know what you're going into. They have a baseline score, and what you expect is If your score goes up 2 to 3 points every year, you're on track to do well. You can get an 18 as a seventh grader, you better be getting a 30 as a senior, right? But if you test as a seventh grader and you get a 13, you test as an eighth grader, you get a 13, you test as a ninth grader, you get a 13. School's not doing you any good. You need to get to work on this, right? If you see that your score goes up 2 to 3 points every year, you're on track to do pretty well. And you can do a little studying to boost it. But if it's not rising 2 to 3 points naturally every year, you've got to focus on getting your score up. Aw, thank you, Alex. So that's kind of it. You need to test early and often. Test early and often. The biggest mistake you can do is like waiting, because like you were saying, like, so if I get a bad grade in this class, right? Well, you might get a bad grade on a day because maybe you like upset the proctor, or maybe you were in a fight with your parents, or maybe, you don't feel well, or maybe it's prom day, right? So the more times you take the test, I think you can take it up to 12 times, before you head out into the world. The more times you take it, the more likely you are to, number one, get better at it, but number two, hit your score potential day. Hi, Alex, Yorkshire boy. You'll more likely hit your score potential. And what do I mean by score potential? So let's say you get a 21 on the ACT, and the ACT scores is 0 to 36, right? Let's say you get a 21. Most of the time, that means on any given day, you could score anywhere from a 19 to a 23. They say there's about a 2-point, sliding scale there. So we hope that then if that's natural for you, right? And it's truly, true that you could score anywhere from a 19 to 23, then you want to test again because you want to get that up to a 23. You want to hit your high score. So if you test on a good day, it means you're going to get a 23. You test on a bad day, you're going to get a 19. So retest, because if you have a score potential that's higher than the one you're getting, you have to retest. Haley, you're so sweet. So that's another thing. Test early and test often. Get started early. Can we get an F in chat for the amazing loving Smith the house dude? Aw, I love you guys. You're so sweet. I just want to be value added to the world. Hey, baby doll, what are you guys doing? You're going to have to listen to this. We got to get that score up.
My score's not that bad.
Her score's pretty good right now. You need a 30. Maybe.
Okay.
We'll get you there. We got Ben there.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, hold on. Lulu's here. What do you need, baby? He's crazy today. He's crazy.
Where's Brian?
He's working. Anyway, quick question.
I don't know what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask maybe if I could get myself some food or something.
You want to go to town and get yourself some food?
Yeah. Sure.
Right now? Are you going with Maddie?
No, we're going to Jaden's tonight. You know that.
Oh, so you want to get some food in town in Blair?
I don't know.
I don't care what you do.
Okay.
Anyway, hugs. Have fun tonight. She goes back to school Tuesday, so tonight's kind of her last free night. Tomorrow night she'll have to go to bed early. Michael says hi, Lucy.
I didn't hear you. I asked you.
Michael says hi, Lucy.
Oh, hi. Oh,
she's a good kid.
Deodorant?
How will I study? Why, Lucy? Oh, hey, Lucy. So anyway, with any test that you're working on, test early and test often. The more time you take a test, I'm not calling you old, but you remind me of my grandmother. You know what? I'm old enough to be a grandmother. I didn't have my own children until I was in my 30s. So, I'm old. It's okay. And in this light, I look really old today. On TikTok, I look a lot younger. Here, I look old. That's okay. I'm accepting my plot in life. I don't really care anymore. You get to a point where you're just like, age. We age. Anyway, so you guys, I need you to listen. Test early and often. Get yourself some practice books. Maximize your score. If you want to do well and you want to not have to spend a bunch of money to go to college, you got to get the best score that you possibly can. So literally on Sunday nights, I'm going to be gradually kind of taking you through some content. I can't teach you the strategies. The strategies I have to do, in private sessions. I'm going to teach you the little content things you need to do well, whether it's on the ACT or any test. Okay. I want to hear something funny. I'm on 19 and I found a strand of gray hair. Oh, that happens. You start graying early. It's so true. Like, it's crazy. So, for instance, on standardized tests, there are kind of different rules that you can play with, right? Let's just talk about the semicolon. You know, the boop, boop, right? You know, the semicolon. Okay. Teachers try to teach the semicolon in all kinds of crazy ways. And I don't even think I really understood a semicolon until I was like 25, and I have a master's degree in English. All right. The semicolon is crazy. It is literally a substitution for a period, capital letter, or for a comma and a fanboy. You guys know what a fanboy is, right? And, or, for, nor. Or it's like semicolon and then a word like however, therefore, and then a comma and then another sentence. But don't deal with that right now. Don't that it's never used like that on the ACT. Never, ever, ever. What? I love these moves. Okay. So you get how to use a period, right? A period comes at the end of a complete thought, a sentence. Well, everyone's like, how do I use a dang semicolon? Well, don't worry about using a semicolon in series and all that kind of stuff. We don't use that really in like modern life. You just have to know that a semicolon literally on most standardized tests, especially the ACT, is simply a substitute for a period, capital letter. Like, I went to school, semicolon, it was fun. You can do that. You can do that with a semicolon. Or I went to school, period, capital letter, it was fun. Or you could do, I went to school, comma, and, which is a fanboy, for, and, you know, and it was fun. All three of those are okay constructs, right? That's all you got to know for most standardized tests, especially the ACT. That's the literal rule. So when you're dealing with, and this is the kind of thing I teach strategy wise when I go into like specific test questions. So for instance, if there are two answers, one of them says, you know, period, capital, and the other one has a option of a semicolon, right? Neither one of those are the answer because they're the exact same weight. They psychologically know that as a child taking a test, you're like, wait, I remember that sometimes you're supposed to use semicolons if the sentences are more related. So are these sentences more related? No, you don't even deal with that. They are equal weight. Those are the kinds of fun little strategies, but I can't show it to you on a test, right? But I mean, there's just so many things like that that I'm excited to talk to y'all about. Those stupid proofs, they need to get rid of them. What? Chilling with, I discovered you were good at algebra, but I say, oh, you know what? Number sense. You guys have to, like, there's so many things we can talk. You've got to pay attention to your number sense. Don't allow yourself to use calculators. I'm serious. Do it in your head or write it out. You've got to improve your number sense to do better on the test. Anyway, you are young. Algebra, I've literally given up. I couldn't even with algebra either. But anyway, so I've spent about a half an hour with you, and that is my plan every Sunday night, to spend a half an hour with you, sort of giving you like my overview of why you must, like the urgency, you must prep for the ACT. You must start taking it as a 7th grader. Convince your parents. It's only like $35. And people, here's the other argument people say. Well, if colleges see it, what if I score bad? No, colleges don't have to see it. You don't send it out to the colleges until you want it sent to them. You never report to the colleges until you're ready to have it sent. There's so many things. But anyway, so I'm going to spend about half an hour with you every Sunday and give you different kinds of testing things. We're going to do it just like a live chat normally would. I'll talk to you a little bit because we can talk about other things too. But I know this test like the back of my hand. And I have thank you. I have so many things to say about it. It's not funny. Shadow, I just got, oh yeah, there. So anything else, y'all? Now I'm going to, Tuesday, I'm going to read you some children's books and do some, like lullabies and stuff. Don't forget to join me for that. Friday, I'll be reviewing TikToks on here, and Saturday we're doing crafts. I don't know that I'm going to keep doing the book reviews. There's a little interesting thing why, but anyway. Okay. Anyway, I love you guys. thank you for joining me tonight. I've got to go do a session. Believe it or not, that's what I do. If you want individual sessions with me, I just don't even do it anymore. I do group sessions on Zoom because you can't meet with people anymore. But if you have a group that wants to do Zoom with me, we can do it. But you'll be here Friday? Yeah, Friday will be good. I'll be reviewing TikToks Friday. But this literally is an intro for you guys, like convincing. Start on page 42. You got it? Here's your message. Open the book. Go to page 42 and take the first test. The first time you take the test, you read the instructions. Then they're always the same. Like for years, they're always the same. They don't change, so you don't have to read them again. Take a test. Take your first test. Score it. See where you are. I don't care if you're 13 or you're 18. Score it. See where you are, and then move on from there. Got it? That's what you need to do. Because the first thing you need to do, take a whole test, and time it. How much can you get done in that amount of time? I know it's like running a marathon, you guys. You've got to prepare for it. If your brain, and then after that, we'll do tiny little sections, but you need a baseline first. How well are you going to do on a 3 hour and 15-minute test? I know it stinks, 3 hours and 15 minutes, but listen, you waste 3 hours and 15 minutes on like TikTok in a day, you can do it. Improve your life, raise your score. Anyway, have a fab night, everyone. Hugs to you. I'll see you maybe Friday, and you catch me on the whatever side. Hugs.